Everybody. I'm just thrilled to be here. I haven't been actually to Victoria since I was maybe 9 years old, or even on the West Coast. So it's been a while. Actually, that's not true. I lived in Kelowna for 6 months after my first year of university. In any case, I love it out there and look forward to going back. So thank you. And I really feel so filled up and loved, especially after all the sharing of your beautiful poems in the open mic. So kudos to everyone for sharing and paying attention to the world in such beautiful ways. It's amazing. And I'm always floored by people who know things like trees and birds and their names and their sounds, and I can never find them. I can hear birds, but I can never see them, or only sometimes, and it's very frustrating. But anyway, I'm learning. I'm doing my best. I'd like to say that here in Windsor, we are on the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. So thank you for making us make sure that we pay attention to that too. Okay, so should I put my timer on for 20 minutes, or are you being the timekeeper, Zoe? You got it? Okay. All right, I have prepared, so just make sure I stay on track and I'll keep my eye on you, and you can give me like a 2-minute warning. Okay, so I'm gonna read some poems from my book, Thimbles. This book is a tribute to my Nonna, which is Italian for grandmother. She passed away last June from dementia and just old age and illness. Actually started writing the book in 2018. It started out as a collection of essays, very angry essays, and then morphed into this collection. And actually, we didn't know that she was going to pass before it was published. And so the whole there's a third section at the end that is the journey of after she passed. And so that was able to be in the book. So really it starts at her life as a child growing up in a small town in Italy, and moves with us across the continents to Canada, and with her family and daughters, granddaughters, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren. So everything's in here. And just want to say again, hi to my sister-in-law, Lisa. So she knew my grandmother very well and had such a lovely relationship with her. So I just want to say thank you, Lisa, for loving Nonna. And she spoke about you right till the end. So love to you from her. All right, so we're going to start in Italy. We're going to start in Italy with my Nonna when she was a child. Ins and outs of days are rigid in small town northern Italy. Caked with mud and hunger, young Maria pleads for an egg at the general store. She walks home with it in her navy wool coat pocket, a delicate secret on her hip. Things die, birds, cats, sisters. An illness sneaks into Maria's thriving mind, another delicate secret she can feel on her hip. Sickness in the head is worse than poverty. Maria is sent to the house in the mountains. It is as real as the open air windows, as real as sisters with the same name, as real as fathers who come and go like bee stings, as real as an egg in a navy wool coat pocket. In the mountains, Maria's mind is a dress shop, a riveting assembly of delicate designs, patterned secret seeds, entrenched in fresh air, frolic, and misunderstood freedom. She can go in and out of the house with the open air windows in the mountains anytime she wants. Often, she leaves her body with her sisters while her mind mends rips in dead soldiers' sweaters. Sickness in the head is a navy wool coat pocket, a germinating seed, a polka dot dress, a delicate egg. So that speaks to my Nonna suffering from depression from a very young age. And back then they didn't name it. They were very afraid of it. And she would get sent to the mountains to this big, beautiful brick house that she loved. And there were no windows in it. And She didn't understand anything except that she loved going there, and it definitely freed her of the mental illness she was feeling. And so that was a place she told me about when I started interviewing her about her life, which is a lot of how I compiled the poems in this book. I went to see her. I had a pad of paper and a pen, and I just said, "Tell me." And her past was very rich and alive and vivid in her mind. So much of this is attributed to her memory holding tight her past. So thank goodness for that. She remembers dates by tapping her fingers in the air, notes of her past. August 26, 1952, ocean liner docked in Montreal. September 10th, 1952, train whistled into Windsor. Lived with Zia A until the wedding day, then moved into an apartment on Marintet for 9 months. Got pregnant there in that first month. Then a move to Lillian, another upstairs, but this time a kitchen, a bedroom, and a shared bathroom. Yet another move to share another house, this time with a single rich woman who lived into her hundreds. Then finally, November 21st, 1967, bought this house, the house she still lives in. All the while in the startling in-betweens, between the first birth and the death 2 months later, between the moves and the pregnancies and the daughters who live, between the cooking and the wine and the self-preservation, she sewed. So my Nonna was an incredible seamstress. She fell in love with sewing when she was 11 years old and was pulled out of school to learn how to sew. Actually went to sewing school, and by the miracle that is miracles, she loved it and really had such a gift for it. And so Thimbles also speaks to her life as a seamstress and the incredible things that she could do with a needle and a thread and a sewing machine. She wouldn't throw out old stockings. Even so darned and restitched, they were more scars than skin tone. But after lunch one Sunday, the women remained at the table among panini crumbs and chunks of tiga and ticha scattered on the tablecloth. We noticed a rip in her stockings. Through the telepathy of women, we knew what to do. Our hands found the rip, our fingers grabbed hold, and we pulled. 3 generations of giggling women tearing apart what was already broken, opening seams into oceans of bare skin, Nonna's knees knocking as we rocked shoulders in unison until all that remained was a golden elastic waistband. Tears of laughter tumbled down our cheeks. The men looked at us confused. I waved a flap over my head like a prize, a surrender to the bliss of collective undoing. The dining room table was such a special place for our family. And as soon as I was old enough to understand the importance of staying at the table instead of running around in circles, when I was younger and giddy on Coca-Cola and Pop Shop Pop that my Nonna would get, I really found such a special place at the table with the women and the food and the eating. And just being enveloped in that kind of familial love that I really didn't have anywhere else in my life. So it was a really special place at the dinner table with my Nonna and my family. And also, I'm sorry, I forget the woman's name who was talking about being afraid of the water and swimming. My Nonna had that fear too, and it goes back generations, passed into the womb to my mother. My mother is deathly afraid of the water. So when she had my sister and I, she made sure that we learned how to swim. And I love the water, and in fact feel like I'm part mermaid. So we broke that generational fear of water. But here's an image of what water was like for Nonna. Nonna takes a bath in water that barely covers her kneecaps. She sits long-legged, her toes like battered arrow tips. The skin on her round belly white like hard-boiled eggs. Her belly button, a short frown, slightly open. Darkness inside. Among the women, her nudity is free. I marvel at the way her red puffy nipples rest on her stomach top like ripe fruit on a plate. Her breasts like white sport socks filled with mangoes. Purple blue veins slide down the sides like juice. I am in the tub with her, innocent, curious. She invites me, she wants me there. We wash ourselves, she scrubs my back, I scrub hers. See thick red welts in streams over her shoulders from her bra straps, showing me pain she never speaks of. I get cold quickly, even in the scalding water that wrinkles my fingertips into raised roads on maps. She is terrified of water. So, I mean, we had this incredible intimacy where, since as long as I can remember, I would spend the nights at my Nonna's house, and we take these baths together in like literally this much water, scolding. She never took a shower, like could not feel the water over her head. But she was just so welcoming and kind, and that intimacy of sharing just that space and the heat and the nakedness together was just, again, another layer of our relationship that is just so deep in my heart, and I'm so grateful for that she was able to share in that way. She also used to say this to me all the time. If God didn't think it was special, he would have put your vagina on your neck. And that's a whole poem. Also speaks to her comedy and her humor. Bless her, she would say that all the time, and we would laugh so hard. It's true though, isn't it? It's true. What if this is a lesson in light? I try nudging Nonna's dignity, forgetting that all this light comes from the same place. It comes from her. She is the light. She is the sun. I am trees blocking out the sun, rooting in how could yous, and you are hurting hers. This ground is a swamp. I am mucking in it. She is still the light. She is still the sun. But she can't see her spirit for its body. She can't see me rooting away from her. Grief is constant heat. Is this a lesson in light? Am I a disconnected ray conceived in a weeping womb? Or has this whole story been nothing but a tongue of light describing a refuge? If the light comes from her, what happens when she dies? Will I still shine? Whose tongue will carry her story? My tongue, my tongue, my tongue. I can tell you that one of the early drafts of this book was completely created in anger, frustration, madness at witnessing her suffering and the choices that I had no control over that were being made for her care. And I have to thank my editor, Abigail, for helping me pull back those outer layers, which really just were all different versions of grief, to get to the love and the heart of these pieces. And one thing that I did that I'm really glad that I realized I could do, there was a shifts in pronouns. So a lot of these poems had we, us, them in it. And one of the ways that I realized that I could take responsibility for my feelings was to simply switch these pronouns to I. So just a note on process there, wanted to share that with you. It really helped me release a lot. When I enter this house, my skin says thank you. My heart settles into the walls. This is the house that saves me. This house has a smell from a tender recipe of immigrant Italy, a sanctuary sustaining me since childhood. I have come here in sickness, bringing disease and virus to the lumpy couch to let the silence protect me so I could heal. This house isn't perfect. There are flies on the walls with stories in their hairy legs. Impenetrable, unswattable bad things fester in the dusty curtains. Still, This house is my rib cage, the center that keeps my center from cracking. But today, I need my eyes to deceive me. I let them work their powerful denial. I need this house to remain strong. I need the smell of peppers, Swiss chard, garlic, pasta, and bread to be my umbilical cord. I need her to keep feeding me, even as she rots, even as the smell scars my nose. When my ribs break, how will I rebuild through the pain? As Nonna started to get more ill, and she was very clear she did not want to go into a home or a hospital, so we did what we could to keep her in the house, transformed the dining room, took the table out, put the hospital bed in. The house became a different place, and sort of matched her changing in her body. It was just a wild phenomenon that happened, and I felt it so much going into that place that was a sanctuary. It shifted over time. And there are days my heart has learned how to disconnect from my brain, which I am not proud of. But the time to be able to breathe without feeling anything is now. I can feel dead. I can feel gone. This is when I promise myself that I will let you die if that's what you need me to do, even when no one else can do it. Someone has to. I will do that for you. I will give you death. I will let you go, and I won't be sorry. The loss of you will be devastating. I will not be able to describe the sadness. It will barely be enough to keep me alive, let alone keep you living on in me. I have to say we had a lot of conversations about what was happening to my Nonna's soul and her spirit. And I had a lot of journal writing and conversations with myself about just how I was going to deal with the loss of her. And I felt like at some point she needed, her spirit, her soul needed permission to let go, especially towards the end when we could feel and see that that little bit of her that was there was just holding on so tightly. And that poem was really about me wanting to tell her it's okay. And I never said those words, but I think she knew. I hope she knew. How am I doing for time, Zoe? 3, okay, perfect. All right. And look, I'm on the last one, so there you go. I dream of going into your bedroom, opening the closet door, pulling my fingers across the shoulders of your handmade dresses. I can feel the days it took you to make those clothes. I can hear what you heard as you sewed, muffled voices on the Price is Right, remnants of Nonna's words shadowing your daily light like cumulus clouds. I dream I can feel what you felt as you pulled thread through the bobbin, as your hard bottom slipper pressed the motor for the sewing machine under the table. I can see the shade of soft gold, your soul seeped into each layer, backstitching yourself into every skirt or dress or shirt from the tired but generous halls of your stunning imagination. I was astounded when you told me you never used store-bought patterns. The designs were there behind your eyes. You could draw them into being with a chalk and a piece of newspaper. I dream of going into your closet, taking your dress blooming with colorful flowers and memories of celebrations past, and forgetting. I dream of putting on this dress, that it fits me perfectly, like you knew in your deep quiet somewhere, somehow, it was meant for my body too. I did get that dress, by the way. I totally stole it. I just went in the closet one day and took it, and I have it with me. I did ask her for her thimbles though, and she did give them to me, graciously, of course.